Hi there, everyone. Tom Paul here, CEO of Pop Art Incorporated, software development company here in Portland, Oregon, and founder of BAM Sales Enablement. We help manufacturers maximize uptime for their sales reps. And the topic of this video today is analytics on channel marketing content. 3 easy steps for marketers in this segment to improve ROI through better efficiency and effectiveness with analytics. So the shocking statistic that we've all seen is that 70% of marketing content across industries is never seen, which means it's never used, which means it's never passed along to customers, it's never used to educate dealers or distributors, and it just falls flat on its face when it comes to ROI. But the even bigger problem is that most of you don't know which 70% that is. Because if you have the knowledge, hey, here's the content that nobody's using, well, then you can take action. You can eliminate it, you can sunset it, you can focus on the stuff that's getting used and seen and creating value. And so that's really kind of part of where this conversation begins. We want to have good analytics on our marketing content so that we know what is producing value for our channel and ultimately helping to educate our customers. And it's also within the context of this. Most of the frustrations that I hear from marketers and channel centric manufacturers about their channel reps, is that they're not current, they're not self sufficient, they're not high performing. And I really do believe that this solution, whatever direction we go to try to solve these problems, begins with the manufacturer, because ultimately the dealers and the distributors will be following your lead. And if you can make it easier for them to, you know, get access to the right materials at the right time, then you're just going to make it easier for them to sell your equipment. And ultimately, that's going to be a pretty big win-win. So there's 3 challenges that fundamentally face channel-centric manufacturing. And one of them is just, you're going to have a dealer and distributor network that's going to be spread over a wide geographic area, maybe multiple states, multiple regions throughout the US, internationally, maybe North America and beyond. And so that just creates a host of challenges. And on top of that, unless you're one of the very, very biggest players, you're not even going to have a captive audience, much less the fact that they're independent, that they're not your employees, and therefore you don't have a lot of leverage over them, but they're also not captive. So you're competing for mind share as they're trying to sell other products. And the fundamental imperative for you here is to make it easy for them to access and share information that is current and relevant about your products, to shorten sales cycles and to really help create educated buyers from your customers. Challenge number 2 is the marketing teams are just small. I remember being at the ConExpo pre-show back in Chicago in 2019, and one session we were in this big room with a bunch of marketing people, and the question was asked by the speaker, how many people in the room were the only person in the marketing department, and almost half the hands went up. And so I think it really reveals the challenge of having limited resources and just not enough hours in the day to get done the extensive list of creating content, organizing content, managing content, distributing content, supporting end users in that content, finding the right stuff. So it's just really hard. And the one thing that we're looking for here is maximum efficiency, to do more with the same amount of resources and budget you have now, or to even do more with less. And I know that this is on the minds of senior leaders at your company as well. Challenge number 3 has to do with the mix of tools that are used to deliver the content to the channel. And so, it's a combination of print and email, maybe a distributor, dealer portal. When I ask manufacturers, marketers to describe, their current way of getting content in the hands of their channel, they say, oh, it's a little bit of everything. It's kind of this, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Sometimes I hear it's all over the place or nothing standardized. We don't really have a standard process for doing any of this, and that's a challenge. I mean, you think about the fact that it's a hodgepodge, a motley crew of tools, a really small marketing department, and a large geographically distributed sales network. I mean, that it becomes evident that something needs to be done in order to overcome these challenges. And so it really comes down to kind of these three key metrics that we've discovered working with hundreds of manufacturers and thousands of dealers and distributors. And really it's just three, and they're kind of simple. One of them is asset utilization. So having a clear grasp on what of your sales and marketing content is the most popular, what's really being used by the channel, what assets are being maybe referred to sometimes in specific situations, and what, back to that 70% figure, what's never being used at all. And fundamentally, if you have access to this information, then you will have a platform upon which to ask the right questions. Why is this set of content so popular? Why is everybody accessing this? Did we already have a hypothesis that that was true? Why is some content only being used occasionally? Is it based on certain customers asking questions? Is it because we need to do more training in this area of our dealers? And then why is this whole set of of content over here not even being used at all? By having this information, it doesn't give you all the answers, but it lets you ask the right questions so that you can get to those key insights and create more value for your channel. Key metric number two is also a simple one: user engagement. Which users are the most active in accessing the sales and marketing content that you're producing for them? Which ones are only periodically or occasionally accessing the content, and which ones are never accessing it at all? And occasionally you'll have really high performing reps that don't ever look at the content because they've been doing it for 20 years and they're always going to be your highest performing reps. But there are so many of your reps that just knowing how and how often they're accessing the content will give you the opportunity to push them up to the next level and to give them more of what's creating value for them and your customers. And then key metric number three, this is all about, how is content shared with customers? Because ultimately, sales and marketing content, yes, it's supposed to educate your channel, but it's supposed to help them educate the end customers that they are the tip of the spear with, they're interacting with on a daily basis. It's sales, it's service, they own the customer relationship. And so it's really important to understand what assets are being shared with customers. How are the customers interacting with those assets? And overall, this gives you a really good view, a lens into your customer rep behavior, so that you can do more coaching, and ultimately so that you can just better understand what's going on in those customer interactions. And so with these three metrics, if you want to try to implement these, then there's a couple of ways that you can do it. You can try to get feedback directly from your channel with email surveys, and when you go on dealer visits, maybe these are senior sales managers at your company, or your RSMs are doing dealer visits. They can collect feedback that way. We've also seen some customers be successful putting together a dealer council of some of their key dealerships, so that they can have more of a formal feedback loop. And then there's typically an annual sales meeting, which is also a good platform for feedback as well. But one thing that we've seen is that to automate some of these things can really be helpful to marketers, and that's actually one of the reasons why we created the BAM platform in the first place. Like I said, the goal was to maximize uptime for sales reps, and getting analytics and insights into things like that first one, the assets viewed, right? Just the ability to see, hey, these are the assets right here, which are the ones that are accessed the most often. Then we have a whole bunch of assets over here in the middle, which are occasionally getting viewed by some of our reps. And then, we just have a lot of stuff down here, which is not getting accessed very often. I mean, this is over a year or two period, so clearly, these things are not producing a lot of value. We can also take a look at kind of trends and things there. Take a look over on the MST side, the mobile sales tool, in order to look at that as well. And then we see the user activity. So this is also on the mobile side, and so we're taking a look down here. Obviously, we have some real power users up here, and then we have some users in the middle, and then a bunch of people that are just not very engaged down here at the bottom. So I think that's probably going to be worth the conversation. All this, you can export it and filter it through any type of lens you want, and then the assets shared. So this has provided some really interesting education to our customers about their dealers and distributors, because if we if we take a look, we can see, all right, well, within some specific assets that were shared, here's how long it took for customers to look at them. Here's a case in which the customer was, this asset was shared with the customer never even looked at it. So that's interesting, and just provide some key information. So really, we're just attempting to automate it. But again, you don't have to automate this. You can do it through feedback. You can do it through, SurveyMonkey. You can do it through, a number of different means. But again, sometimes automating it can be right for some companies. So hopefully that's helpful. If you're interested in learning how to automate it for your business and get some of these key insights, be happy to have a conversation. We have more content about this and also about some other ways to help enable and engage and get traction with the channel reps on bamsales.io, and I'm also available by email at tombamsales.io. Hope this content was helpful. Thank you.